What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus package update, stimulus check update, and daily news. Everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., and everything you need to know about on a daily basis. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button right now so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's completely free to subscribe. And don't forget to hit the like button for us as well. You guys are absolutely amazing. We got a lot to talk about here. President Biden announces something, and we're also going to talk about millions of people that are going to be receiving stimulus checks here in 2022. New information evolving about that. We'll go over everything that we know so far. We got a lot to talk about here in this video, so let's jump right in. Okay, Congress and our government is looking at yet another potential government shutdown here in about 2 weeks. That's right. Yeah. Can't make this stuff up, right? So yeah, in about 2 weeks, we're potentially going to have another government shutdown. This will affect, I think it's over 2 million potential jobs, government jobs, could potentially lose their jobs temporarily if the government shuts down and the Democrats and the Republicans cannot come to an agreement because they have kicked the can down the road and they need to come to another government funding agreement to fund the U.S. government. This comes as the government's national debt just passed $30 trillion for the first time here. But there's nothing we can really do about that. It's the government spends more money than they take in, has for like many years now at this point, and it's the cost of doing business. Whether it's a Republican president and Democratic president, they've been spending more money than they take in for many, many years. So back in 1990, the government debt national deficit was about 3 or 4 trillion. Now it's 30 trillion. And if we fast forward another 20 years, it'll probably be 50 trillion. It's just kind of the way things are. I don't know if they're going to be able to solve that. The only thing they'll probably be able to do, maybe, is slow it. Slow it. Yeah, so you can let me know your thoughts if you're concerned about this. It's almost kind of a fictitious number in the sky at this point of the national debt. You know, it's more of a concern for individual Americans with their debt, more so. When you have debt, you have to actually go and pay your debt, pay your credit card bills, pay your car payments, and pay your mortgage payments. The government gets to print their own money. So when they have to pay debt, they just literally print money. We don't have the luxury of doing that, right? It's kind of a different ballgame. Yeah. Imagine if you could just print your own money and then just pay your own bills. Well, that's what the government gets to do. Almost seems unfair, right? Well, that's what they get to do. Meanwhile, rents and homes are surging at all-time record highs. And we don't get to print our own money. Check this out. Yeah, as you can see here, rent is spiking by 35% or more in some cities. Yeah, and then we'll get to housing here in a second. But let me know down below in the comments if you have seen your rent increase here for 2022. Yeah, rent, everything is increasing. With inflation right now, it's just, it's been rough. As we try to come out of the pandemic, when we were in the pandemic, there was really no inflation. And now we're kind of seeing the effects of that kind of creep back up. When there was no inflation, everything was kind of at zero. There was no really increase. And now we're seeing the double increase basically kind of come back for that. And here is where rent spikes are. Across the country, rent average increased by about 14% in 2021, according to Redfin. Most renters in the U.S. are paying an average of $1,877 each month on average. Yeah, Think about that, $1,877 per month on average. That's a lot, and it increased by 14% in 2021. The top 10 highest paying cities. Number 10, Portland, Oregon, increased by 29%. Wow. Number 9, Jacksonville, Florida at 31%. Number 8, Fort Lauderdale, Florida at 34%. Number 7, West Palm Beach, Florida at 34% also. Number 6, Miami, Florida at 34%. That seems to be, I mean, there's 4 out of the last 5 there. That must be a high inflation area. Number 5, New Brunswick, New Jersey at 35%. Number 4, Newark, New Jersey at 35%. Number 3, New York City, 35%, as if real estate and rent wasn't high enough there, right? Number 2, what's higher? Now remember, these are increases, right? These are increases. Number 2, Nassau County, New York, 35%. So we actually have 4 at 35% here. So these are all kind of ties. And the number 1 highest rent increase in the country, do you have a guess? Do you know what it might be? Drum roll. Is Austin, Texas. 40%. Wow. That's a high increase, man. So you can see the top 6 there, top 5, top 6. Yeah, it's just if you're a renter in any one of these areas, let me know if you've seen your rent increase or anywhere, for example. Rent increases are very, very high, very, very high. And home values um, have been good if you're a home owner, but if you're looking to buy a home, maybe not so much, unless you have a home you're selling as well. But you can see here, U.S. home prices are, quote, slowing to 18.8% year over year growth. Phoenix, Arizona is at 32.2%. Quote, simply unaffordable. Yeah, so U.S. home prices are slowing down to 18.8% here year over year. So yeah, and this is kind of why rent is going up, because housing prices are going up. So anybody that's buying homes has to pay more for the homes. They have to pay more property taxes, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of a double-edged sword, right? They have to pay more property taxes, electricity, all that stuff, right? It's all kind of intertwined in there. And yeah, it's just it's tough out there all around, right? I mean, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments, but this is just goes kind of hand in hand with why so many more people need help nowadays. There's about 25% of people in the world, or I'm sorry, in the United States right now that need more help. They're behind on their bills and are struggling to pay their bills. A full 70 to 80 million people right now in the US that are struggling to pay their bills and could use another stimulus check. So, meanwhile, we are getting reports, and I'll go over multiple different states here that are or are considering, or we're getting reports that they are going to be doing more stimulus checks here in 2022. So, we'll go over the data here on several different states that are going to be doing more stimulus checks here in 2022. First, we'll start with the big one. Check this one out.
There is a push to send out more Golden State stimulus checks. Some state lawmakers say the legislature should consider sending cash to Californians with the state's budget surplus.
Our Capitol Bureau reporter Ashley Zavala.
California's the big one simply because they're the largest state. They're like the fifth or sixth largest economy in the world. So they literally just have like 40 million people. Last stimulus check that they sent out last year went out to like 27 plus million people. Because remember, they have the income cap of $75,000 or something like that, or exactly like that. If they send out another stimulus check this year, which looks likely, as you heard the governor say, it literally is enough to put enough stimulus checks in there for like 10 or 15 states. So that's why it's such big news. But there is a lot of other states that are going to be doing this here in 2022 as well. Here's what has already been announced so far. Check this out. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, a Democrat, announced a plan to disperse $150 to every resident out of the state's unexpectedly high budget surplus, though it wasn't immediately clear if the state's GOP controlled legislature will back the plan. I will keep you up to date as these states, some of these are confirmed, some of these are not. I will keep you up to date on these as on the channel. Some of these may go up as well in dollar amounts. In neighboring Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz, a Democrat, has proposed sending $350 to taxpayers, to every taxpayer earning less than $164,000 or less, while giving frontline workers who remained on the job during the past year an additional $1,500 check. That is for Minnesota. Keep you up to date on that one. The state of Georgia, Governor Brian Kemp, a Republican, wants to use the state's budget surplus to give $250 in tax refunds. Remember that stimulus checks and tax refunds are kind of the same thing. And you kind of heard that with the video there from California. Um, a tax refund and a stimulus check are actually the same thing. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that's true. It's actually the same kind of meaning. So just keep that in mind. Governor from Georgia wants to send a $250 tax refund to single filers and $500 to joint filers. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly, a Democrat, said last month the state should send $250 back to all single filers who filed a tax return in 2021, with joint filers getting $500. Also, note that if you don't normally file a tax return and you're in one of these states, you may want to file a tax return in one of these states. Okay. So keep that in mind. You might want to talk to a tax professional. Um, that might be something you might want to do. If you don't have any earned income, you might want to talk to a tax professional, or if you have a tax somebody who's knowledgeable about taxes in your family, like a you know an uncle or somebody like that, or anybody in your family, or any relative or anything like that that you can talk to that knows your situation. Maybe you sold something at a garage sale and you can claim $50 in income. That would be taxable income, and you could claim a state um, tax return. You could probably file it online and do it yourself and not really pay anything, but then you can claim a state stimulus check. Okay. There are ways to do this even if you are not a tax filer. And remember, this isn't really tax advice for you, because I'm talking to millions of people on this YouTube channel. So this is why you really need to talk to someone personally. But there are ways to, if you're not normally a tax filer, still file a tax return um, if you need to. I always get the question of, Jimmy, should I file a tax return? I can't really answer that for you because I don't know your personal situation. Okay. Not everybody who's a non tax filer needs to file a tax return this year. But if you're expected to get the child tax credits this year, then you do need to file a tax return. I've been seeing that question a lot. If you are expected to get the child tax credits from 2021 and you need to get the rest of that money, you do need to file a tax return, okay? Because you're expected to get an additional $1,500 to $1,800 for the rest of the money from 2021. You have to file a tax return to get the rest of that money. Okay. They're not going to send unless the IRS changes something here last minute, which I don't think they're going to do. You have to file a tax return to get the rest of that money, even if you're not normally a tax filer. Okay. So again, seek professional help or seek somebody in your family or TurboTax or somebody, right? If you don't know what you're doing, or go online, anybody that you know, or just walk into H&R Block or something like that. But if you're looking to get the child tax credits, if you have children that you claim, you have to file a tax return to get the rest of that money. Okay, so because you're not going to get the rest of that money, which is $1,500 to $1,800, because remember they only paid the monthly payments out from July to December. Okay, that's only half the year. The other half the year, January through June, you get that on your tax return. You got to file a tax return to get that. And a lot of these stimulus checks, you got to file a state tax return to get those. Okay, if you don't have any earned income, you might be able to do something like, I sold something at a garage sale and I have $50 of earned income. You might be able to do something like that. But again, everybody's situation is different. So, keep that in mind. But again, it's all up to you guys. So, you know, keep that in mind, right? Okay, so anyways, Kansas wants to send out $250 stimulus checks to single filers who filed a tax return in 2021, which you can do now, and joint filers $500. But the leaders of the Republican controlled Kansas legislature have expressed skepticism of the governor's intention since she's up for reelection this year. I see that a lot. Like, all these states want to send stimulus checks out, and every time they do that, they say it's because of reelection. It's not because of that. I mean, I- why do they always say that? All these different states are doing it. California's not doing it for two times in a row, and it's probably going to maybe even continue doing this. It's not because of reelection, guys. Like, that's just ridiculous. It's called. First of all, a lot of states, as you heard in that interview from California, some states, I don't know which states because I haven't looked into the laws of every single state, and I'm not going to. It's literally take me days, and I'm not trying to read through each state's bylaws. But some states actually require by law, if they have a budget surplus over a certain percentage and a certain amount, they have to give back money by law. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. So it's literally forced by law. Yeah. So It, it, everybody always thinks everybody always has an ulterior motive, and sometimes that's true, but it's not always true. I know the conspiracy theorists and everybody always wants to come out, always, but it's not always the case. In Idaho, there's a nearly $2 billion projected surplus. Lawmakers in the state house last week overwhelmingly approved a sweeping tax cut bill, giving each resident either $75 or a rebate equal to 12% of their 2020 state income tax bill, whichever is greater. Whichever is greater. Residents of Oregon, Indiana, and Colorado will all get a piece of their state's budget surpluses. And that's why there's so many states here. You can't say that they're all doing it because they want to get reelected, right? Due to laws mandating automatic refunds. See that? See that? Due to laws mandating automatic refunds, Oregonians will be the big winners, with the average taxpayers expected to get a refund of $850. That's a nice check. That's more than the second stimulus check of $600, right? Yeah, that's a good one. I can't wait to see them get that. While Indiana residents should receive about $170 back, and Coloradans will get about $69 back. And a lot of people say, why is Indiana only getting 170, or why is Colorado only getting 69? A lot of this has to do with the amount of the budget surplus. Okay. So then that's why these numbers are like specific numbers. Okay. So keep that in mind. Also, remember that there's actual stimulus money as well that can be doled out this year from the third stimulus check package. And we'll probably be seeing a lot of that this year as well. I'll keep you up to date on all this stuff here. There's probably going to be a lot more states announcing this stuff in 2022. Remember, January just passed. So we're only basically 1 month into 2022. And already all these states have either announced this, well, yeah, basically all this stuff has been announced, and how much of this goes through and gets increased, or what happens with all this stuff, I will keep you up to date here as well as the federal stimulus check programs. And honestly, there's going to be more states doing this here in 2022. So we're only 1 month into it. So as more months go by, there's going to be more states doing this, especially with all these states doing this. There's going to be more states that are catching on and feeling the pressure. Because, I mean, when we literally have dozens of states doing this, other states are going to be like, yeah, we need to do this as well. We need to give back to our residents. And remember, a lot of these states have laws that force them to give the money back. So as the year goes on and they say, "Oh yeah, look at we have $5 billion or $1 billion. We have to we're by law we have to give this money back." They're gonna count it and say, "Yep, we have this much money to give back." I will report this to you guys as it comes in. So make sure to click the subscribe button down below right now if you haven't subscribed yet to our channel. Help us reach 400,000 subscribers. We're almost there, and I will keep you up to date with everything going on here in our country. And also, you can click here to watch our newest video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.